Welcome everybody, my name is Paul and I'm a country realtor in the western part of Virginia. And today I'm going to talk about at least eight different good reasons to move to Virginia. And I'm going to start with the terrain and the geography of Virginia because it's quite varied. In case you don't know, this is the state of Virginia and it's in the eastern part around the central part of the mid-Atlantic area. And on the north side you have Maryland, and then you go into Pennsylvania, and on the south side you have North Carolina. So the area over here is the ocean, the Atlantic Ocean. Many people know this already. And then there's some big cities over here called Newport News and Norfolk and Virginia Beach. And then you go further inland and you have what they call the Piedmont, which is a rolling plains part of Virginia in this area right in here. And then on the western side you start getting the Blue Ridge Mountains, and they go down all the way along the western part of the state, and then toward the farther west you have West Virginia. So one of the good things about Virginia is it has so much variety of terrain. You have all kinds of farms, you have plenty of variety, you have hills, you have good views, and you have the basics of agriculture and timbering, which for a long time in the history of this country was very, very important for survival. People had some way to grow some food and some way to get some trees and lumber to make their homes. So that's one of the reasons. Now, the second thing is we have various resources in Virginia. I have a little list here and I'll try to go by them pretty much. But Virginia has a lot of water. There's a lot of streams in Virginia, a couple of really big rivers, and a number of smaller, medium-sized rivers. And that provides a tremendous resource to the state. It provides opportunity for agriculture and housing and so on. We have great sun. We don't have a very extreme climate. It's very moderate. We have a lot of great soil. There's a lot of farms in Virginia. There's a whole lot of trees in Virginia, various kinds of hardwood and pine trees that are harvested and provide shelter and shade for many people. We have a whole lot of wildlife, different kinds of wildlife. Foxes, squirrels, rabbits, all the usual things, possums, bears, deer. We got tons and tons of deer. So the state of Virginia has a lot of natural resources that are very, very important if you want to make it your home, because it's not just where the town that you live in, but all around you, because it provides a good economy if there's a lot of resources in an area. I mentioned the geography, the variety. We have beaches, we have roads, we have a really good infrastructure. We have a lot of highways. On the east side of Virginia we have the Route 95 that goes down along the east coast here and all the way down to Florida. And then on the west side you have Route 81. So we have several really good channels of highways. And then they're building a Route 29 somewhere in the middle here that goes all the way down to the North Carolina border. So Route 29 is also a four-lane highway, but it's not used very much at the moment compared to Route 81 and 95. So you have that infrastructure that allows people to get around quite easily. You can get into very remote areas through all kinds of timber harvesting roads and gravel roads that go into some really remote areas. So it's very accessible, unlike some parts of, say, Colorado, the high mountains, where, yeah, it's a lot of wildlife there, but you can't get anywhere because it's so steep and so rugged that there aren't that easy access to the areas that you want to get to. There's a long history in Virginia of agriculture and self-reliance. There's a really good community of people. That's another good thing. There's a lot of really self-reliant, helpful, kind-hearted people in Virginia. Virginia is for lovers, that's what they say. And it really is a beautiful state. When people are in a good mood, they have not extreme climate, they're not complaining about the winter so much because it is fairly short and also beautiful. So people tend to be in a pretty good upbeat mood. Like I said, I lived in New York State for some years, and by the time middle of October comes, boy, you just better settle into the end of April because it's going to be cold and nasty. But in Virginia, the summer fades into autumn very, very gently, and then September is like beautiful. Like, it's like September here is like August up in the Northeast in New York State, and you have a very gentle transition into the winter, and maybe finally by the end of December you start getting a little snow. Then January and February pretty cold, and then by the end of March you're mowing your lawn again. So it's very nice to have that additional 6 to 8 weeks of outdoor time because the climate is very moderate. Um, History in Virginia, a history of self-reliance and personal rights. The zoning is very liberal in many parts of Virginia. You get outside some of the really big cities like D.C. area and Richmond and so on, and you start getting to some beautiful area with agricultural zoning where you can do homesteading and raise a family and have some cows and chickens or whatever you want to do, and put your camper there and so on. So the history is very supportive. The community is very supportive of independent living and self-reliance, and that's really important if you want to do homesteading. There's a really great infrastructure in Virginia. Like I said, there's roads, there's a lot of people with various kinds of equipment, tools, machines. I got a neighbor who's got a backhoe and a bulldozer, and a big one too, and they can make roads basically. So all around my neighborhood there's people with that kind of equipment, and it can matter sometimes. If you get blocked up in a big snowstorm in some areas of upstate New York, even though it's fairly rural, it's not like everybody's got a tractor or something. It's sort of the genteel rural way of living. People don't really have tractors as much in, say, New York State as they do in a place like Virginia. So that can really help in certain situations. And if you need your field bush hogged, then chances are there's someone down the road that has a big backhoe, bush hog or so on, and can come and do it for you. So again, it's supportive. There's a whole lot of supportive infrastructure, and people infrastructure is part of the community that supports your gentle homesteading, natural living. So I think I've covered really most of the 8 points, but to summarize here, I love Virginia. The views here are so amazing, and real estate is a very active community out here. If you want to live in a big city and have all those kind of things, you need to work near a city. You got all the big cities like Richmond and Charlottesville and some of the others, and Roanoke, and you can find all kinds of jobs there. They have everything: the schools, the shopping centers, the airports, and so on. So overall, Virginia has a great compromise. It's not too hot, not too cold. It has all the seasons. It has mountains. It has oceans. On the east side, it has like a rolling plains called the Piedmont. It's got rivers. It's very supportive of recreation. That's another good thing about Virginia. Loads and loads of recreation. Where I live in Buchanan, Virginia, all around me, the Appalachian Trail's near me, the all kinds of hiking trails, the Appalachian Trail, like I said, and Peaks of Otter, the Blue Ridge Parkway. There's the James River where you got canoes and kayaks, and the Shenandoah River. There's all kinds of trout fishing in Virginia. They stock we stock the streams 4 times a year, and it's just delightful. So you don't have to go far for your recreation. There's a lot of people raising a family, and then it comes time for vacation, and if you're living in the wrong place, then you got to drive 2 or 3 hours. You go far away and take your kids to a vacation, where in most parts of Virginia you don't have to go far before you're seeing all the beautiful countryside and views and streams, and there's a lot of state parks. There's a Jefferson National Forest. There's a Washington State National Forest, and there's a number of state preserves as well. So overall, Virginia is a wonderful state to live in. There's low stress. If you want to live out in the country, there's plenty of opportunity for that. And if you want to live totally in the woods and go down 12 miles down a country gravel road, then you could probably find a place like that too. So I hope I made inspiration to come and take a look at Virginia. At least I have this little saying I use, and it's called Virginia Visit for Fun and Stay for Life, and that's kind of what I ended up doing about 7 years ago. I had been through Virginia many times and done the Blue Ridge Parkway all the way from the south to the north, but I never lived here, even though I visited a family member in the state. But I always knew it was really beautiful, so when I moved here, I really wasn't sure what to expect, and the longer I've been here in Virginia, the more I love it. It's just a really nice place. Now, I've traveled a lot in the world, and I've seen a lot of places. There are a lot of really beautiful, beautiful places in the world that you could possibly live. But you do want a really good basis of support for economy and for infrastructure and for natural beauty and wildlife and so on that you can appreciate, and you don't have to go far to find it. So that's why I suggest Virginia is definitely worth a really good look if you're thinking of moving into a homesteading situation or just want a overall rounded life with many opportunities and a good supporting economy. So thanks again for listening. I hope you saw some of my other videos and my different websites on YouTube. And I hope to see you again. Please like and share, and I always enjoy feedback from my viewers. So thanks again. I hope to see you in some other videos.